Ever wonder if the food you're eating is missing something? I'm not talking about salt or pepper. I'm talking about ancient secrets, lost wisdom that once made our food more nutritious, our soil richer, and our planet healthier. What if I told you that centuries old farming techniques, now almost extinct, hold the key to solving some of our biggest modern problems? Stick with me, because what you're about to discover will change the way you look at your dinner plate forever. Let's travel back in time, long before industrial agriculture, mega farms, and chemical fertilizers. Our ancestors weren't just farmers, they were ecologists, innovators, and survivors who developed ingenious ways to work with nature, not against it. They created vibrant, resilient food systems that sustained civilizations for thousands of years. But in our relentless pursuit of progress and higher yields, we've systematically dismantled these traditions, pushing them to the brink of extinction. We traded long-term sustainability for short-term gains, and the consequences are catching up to us. One of the most foundational of these lost arts is the concept of polyculture, or what you might know as companion planting. But this was companion planting on an epic scale. The most famous example from the Americas is the Three Sisters: corn, beans, and squash. This wasn't just a random mix. It was a masterpiece of natural engineering. The corn grew tall, providing a natural trellis for the beans to climb. The beans, being legumes, pulled nitrogen from the air and fixed it into the soil, fertilizing the corn and squash. The large, spiny leaves of the squash spread across the ground, acting as a living mulch that suppressed weeds, kept the soil cool and moist, and deterred pests. It was a self-sustaining ecosystem on a stalk. Each plant helped the others thrive, creating a system that was more productive and resilient than any of them could be alone. Modern monocultures, where we plant endless fields of a single crop, look like barren deserts in comparison. So, why did we stop? The answer is simple and brutal: machinery. You can't drive a giant combine harvester through a complex, intertwined garden of corn, beans, and squash. Industrial agriculture demanded uniformity, straight lines, and single crops. The Three Sisters were too complex, too beautifully chaotic for the machine age. In our quest for efficiency, we bulldozed biodiversity. And this wasn't just in the Americas. All over the world, similar symbiotic systems existed. In Asia, ancient rice paddies were complete ecosystems. Farmers would introduce fish and ducks into the flooded fields. The ducks would eat weeds and pests, and their droppings would fertilize the rice. The fish would do the same, while also oxygenating the water. This integrated system produced rice, fish, and ducks from the same plot of land, with no need for chemical pesticides or fertilizers. It was a closed-loop system of incredible elegance. We replaced it with sterile fields doused in chemicals, and in the process, we lost not just a farming technique, but a source of free, high-quality protein and a naturally balanced environment. Let's talk about soil. Today, we're facing a global soil crisis. We're losing topsoil at an alarming rate due to erosion and degradation. Our ancestors knew that soil wasn't just dirt. It was a living, breathing entity, the foundation of all life. They had methods to build it, not deplete it. Take terra preta or Amazonian dark earth. For a long time, scientists believed the Amazon rainforest soil was naturally poor and couldn't support large populations. But then they discovered vast areas of incredibly fertile, black soil. This wasn't natural. It was man-made. Indigenous Amazonians created it over centuries by adding a specific mix of charcoal, bones, pottery shards, and organic waste to the soil. The charcoal acted like a sponge, holding onto nutrients and water and providing a home for beneficial microbes. This soil is so stable and fertile that it remains productive thousands of years later. We are just now rediscovering the power of this biochar in regenerative agriculture, trying to reverse engineer a technology that ancient peoples perfected. We abandoned a technique that created permanent fertility, opting instead for a system that requires ever-increasing inputs of synthetic fertilizers, which pollute our waterways and contribute to climate change. Another lost practice is seed saving. For 10,000 years, farming was a continuous dialogue between people and plants. Every farmer was also a plant breeder. They would save the seeds from their best plants, the ones that tasted the best, grew the strongest, or resisted drought. This constant selection created an incredible diversity of crops, with thousands of local varieties adapted to specific microclimates and tastes. An apple wasn't just an apple. There were thousands of kinds, each with its own story. This genetic diversity was our greatest insurance policy against disaster. If a new disease wiped out one variety, there were hundreds of others that might be resistant. Today, just a handful of multinational corporations control the majority of the world's seeds. We've replaced immense diversity with a fragile uniformity. The vast majority of our food now comes from just a few high-yield, hybrid varieties that cannot be saved for replanting. Farmers are forced to buy new seeds every single year. We didn't just lose seeds, we lost food sovereignty and resilience. We lost flavors, textures, and nutrients that have vanished from our diets. The list of abandoned wisdom goes on, from the intricate terrace farming of the Inca that prevented soil erosion on steep mountainsides, to the water harvesting qanats of Persia that created oases in the desert, to the agroforestry systems that layered food forests for maximum productivity. These weren't primitive methods. They were highly sophisticated, knowledge-intensive systems that were perfectly adapted to their environments. They were sustainable not just for a few decades, but for millennia. So why the silent extinction? Because this knowledge wasn't written down in textbooks. It was passed down from parent to child through practice, observation, and story. When a generation stops farming, that chain of knowledge is broken, and it can be lost forever. We've been taught to see these old ways as backward, inefficient, and irrelevant. We've been sold a myth of progress that tells us newer is always better. But what did we really lose? We lost nutrient-dense food. Studies show that modern fruits and vegetables have significantly lower levels of vitamins and minerals than they did a few generations ago. We lost resilience. Our food system is now so centralized and uniform that it is incredibly vulnerable to shocks like climate change, disease, and economic disruption. We lost our connection to our food and the land. Most of us have no idea where our food comes from or how it's grown. We lost clean water, healthy soil, and biodiversity. The good news is it's not all gone. Around the world, a growing movement of farmers, scientists, and gardeners is working to revive these ancient practices. They are called regenerative agriculture, permaculture, agroecology. But whatever the name, the principles are the same. Work with nature, build soil, foster diversity, and create resilient systems. They are rediscovering the Three Sisters, building new terra preta, and saving heirloom seeds from the brink of extinction. This isn't about abandoning modern science and going back to the Stone Age. It's about combining the best of ancient wisdom with the best of modern knowledge. It's about creating a new kind of agriculture, one that feeds us nutritious food, heals our planet, and rebuilds our communities. So the next time you visit a farmer's market, ask about how the food was grown. Support local farmers who are using regenerative practices. Try growing a little of your own food, even if it's just herbs on a windowsill. And question the idea that progress only moves in one direction. Sometimes, the best way forward is to look back, to remember the secrets that are hidden in plain sight, in the soil beneath our feet. The future of food might just depend on it. What ancient practice surprised you the most? The Three Sisters terra preta or the rice duck patties? Let me know in the comments below. I'm genuinely curious to hear what you think. And if you found this journey into our agricultural past as fascinating as I do, please give this video a like and subscribe for more deep dives into the forgotten knowledge that could shape our future. Thanks for watching.